Hello and welcome to this new segment I decided to call Kall Withdrawal. And basically with this new segment on this podcast, I wanted to challenge myself and maybe in the future other guests to basically do a solo episode on whatever topic they feel like they want to talk about to get out there to the world uninterrupted. And so I decided to challenge myself for the very first episode of this new segment. And I guess what I want to talk about, is just basically myself and my story. And I'll be using this segment as more of like a sort of talking to myself in a way. Like I'm conversating with myself, seeing how far I've come and trying to see if I realize how far I've come, So I guess we'll start with my earliest memories I could possibly even remember. But honestly, when I think about my entire life and like who I am and who I've come to be, one thing that has always remained the same is that I've always felt alone. And not in the way that you think. Like, of course, I have a really good supportive group around me. I do have different groups of friends. I obviously have my family who support anything that I do. It's just, it's a different feeling of, it's not loneliness. It's just feeling alone. Like no matter how many people surround you, no matter how supportive they are of you, how understanding they are of you, you just get the feeling that like you're just still alone in a way, that maybe you're not fully understood, or that maybe you stand out more than the average Joe and you notice that, and it just makes you feel alone no matter, even if you find people who can relate to you, there's still moments where you just feel alone in the world. I don't know. I know it's not just me. I know multiple people usually feel this. I've had many friends who tell me the same thing, that they feel the same way despite having such a big support group around them or people that they can go to. It's just this weird feeling, but I guess how I felt this is honestly, I feel as though God, the universe, whatever higher power there is, they wanted me to feel like, I guess, different or slightly isolated or just like whatever the term is, because growing up, I tend to notice certain patterns that I was always left out or I always felt left out. For example, I remember so many instances in elementary school. And being a kid, no one wants to be left out. You want to make friends, you want to be included in the group, all that stuff. And I remember specifically several times in elementary school were times where I would always just be left out. So I guess one instance is, and they're like small minor things, but eventually you realize the impact they have on you, especially as a kid, because you don't want to feel left out. I remember one time in elementary school, I don't know what, like we were getting a certificate, an award for something. I honestly don't know. I forgot, it's been so long. But all I know is we were getting an award for something, and they were calling out every kid's name, and the kid got to go in the front of the class with the teacher, and there was like a guest there. I don't know. But basically, everyone got an award with their name on it, and one by one, the teacher and this guest would call students' names, and that student would go up to the front of the class, grab their certificate, and would sit down, yada yada. And I remember, I think they're going in alphabetical order, I'm not too sure, but all I remember is towards the end, I realized they never called my name, and I was the only one left out pretty much. Everyone else got their own certificate with their name on it. And at the end, like they stopped saying all the names, everyone started clapping, and I was like, what about me? I didn't get anything. And, the teacher's like, okay, did everyone get their certificate? And I raised my hand and I said, I didn't get one. And so they were looking at the last certificate that they had, and it was for a kid who was absent that day. So what they did was they scratched out the name on that paper and they wrote my name on top of it and they gave it to me. And I just remember I was looking at it as a kid, like they gave it to me. I went and sat at my desk and everyone was talking and cheering and whatnot. And I remember just drawing inside myself and I was just staring at this green piece of paper with a crossed out name and my name on top of it. And I remember looking at it and I was thinking like, that's not me. This isn't mine. And I was so like sad because I was like looking at it and I was like, this wasn't meant for me. This isn't mine. Like they left me out. They forgot about me, like this doesn't belong to me. This isn't mine. Even though they scratched out whoever's name was on there and wrote my name on top of it. I was like, this isn't mine. And I remember the way that certificate looks in my head right now. I remember the blue ink. I remember the teacher's handwriting. I remember my first and two last names be written on. I remember almost everything about that moment because, as a kid, that's when you're most impressionable. And things like that, like, hurt you a little bit. And note when I was a kid, I was a crybaby, which to the people who know me now might sound kind of a surprise because, I come up as this cold-hearted ice princess. But really, like, I was a fucking crybaby. Still low-key a little am. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit more sensitive, even though people don't really know or I don't really show that side of me very often. But yeah, so as a kid, like, shit like that, oh my god, I was so hurt. I was so hurt. I was like, what the fuck? And then I remember another time in elementary school as well. We were learning English, and once again, there was a guest host or speaker or whatever in our classroom, a guest teacher, I don't know. And I guess what we were doing was, it was like a group class participation activity, and every kid got a word. And this word was, it was written in black, and it was printed on this yellow piece of paper that was laminated, and it had like a little string attached to it so you could wear it around your neck. And basically, like, every kid had a word that formed a sentence or can form a sentence, And I remember the activity was for the entire class to try to use all the words and make a good, cohesive, and grammarly correct sentence. So, kids were lining up one by one with the help of the teachers. We're trying to figure out, like, how to make this sentence work. So, like, if a kid was chosen, they would go to the front of the class and stand there, and kids would stand in a line to form a sentence, with the words around their neck or whatever. And I remember, like, towards the end of it, once again, I was the last one. And they had formed a good sentence, so they had to try to figure out, like, where they could add me in. Because I think my word was, like, an adjective, so they could easily add me in. But, of course, I was the last one standing. Almost like, if you're a kid, in gym class, and there's, like, two kids picking people for their team, and you're the last one. That's basically it. That's the feeling I had. And I was just like, wow, here I am again. Left out or the last one chosen. So, and there's like another instance, I kind of forgot like exactly what happened, but basically another instance also in elementary school where I was the odd one out again. I think like same thing with the first story, that the teachers were handing out something for every kid and had their name on it, and once again I was the only one left out, and I was like, what? And after, like, it didn't take me, like, it took me to, like, maybe in my teenage years when I thought back, and I just thought, like, wow, like, the universe just wanted me to, like stand out or be alone or something, whatever. And I was just like, it really impacted me as a kid, And after elementary school, that same feeling followed me throughout. In middle school, like the gym example I gave, I've definitely been there. Also, even trying to, like, figure out which, like, clique or group of friends I belonged with, that was also hard, especially since, if you don't, like, you had different classes. So I remember middle school, I think we had 7 classes, and, every class you try to find someone in. And I don't know which year of middle school this was, but it was for gym class, and I didn't know anyone. Or it was like gym or health class, something like that. And I didn't know anyone in that class. So, so you try to like make friends with people, or try your hardest. Because at that time, I'm still not social. Like, I feel like I'm an ambivert. But with introvert tendencies. Like, I prefer to be by myself and like to be home and not socialize all the time. But if I'm in the mood and if I have to, I will be social. But being in the mood is key. Otherwise, I don't care. But, I wasn't like that honestly, from elementary to high school. I wasn't the most social person. Of course, I talked to people, but I didn't put myself out there. And teachers would call me shy. And it's not that I was scared to talk. It's just that I didn't want to talk. So, and I just came to that realization the other day that people would always say like, oh yeah, you were so shy. You were so shy. It's like, I wasn't shy. I just didn't feel like talking. That's two different things. Shy people, I feel like most of the shy people I know, like they want to talk, but they just don't know how to, or they're socially awkward or whatnot. Me, I just don't want to talk to you, especially when I was a kid. I just did not want to talk to you, Like, I didn't want to socialize at all, whatever. But anyways, so, here I am in my gym period in middle school. I didn't know anyone in that period whatsoever, so I was trying to navigate, trying to see if I could make some friends so I won't be the odd one out. Because at this point, I didn't accept it quite yet, I still had that empty feeling of like, I don't want to be alone, And I made friends with two girls. I won't name their names, but I made friends with two girls in that class period. But both of them, I think they were cousins or something like that. But they had known each other for a while. But they had taken me on as like the third person in the group. So like, just the three of us mostly. And like, they were fun and cool and chill to talk to and whatnot. But even then, when I made friends then, I was the third wheel. Because like since they had known each other, they would talk about certain things that only those two knew, inside jokes or whatnot. And of course, here I am being the third newest addition to their two-man group. And of course, like, I didn't know what they were talking about. And I felt so out of the loop. And sometimes like they were talking, I'll just be standing there, or like I'd just be sitting there and I'd just be like, just dozing off and like thinking like, must be nice, and I was also thinking to myself too, like, here it is again, me feeling this left out feeling, even though I have two new friends standing right in front of me right now. I still feel this feeling of like being left out or being the odd man out, and I was just like, wow. And one day I came to this realization. I want to say it was like maybe in high school, like early, like maybe late middle school to early high school, somewhere around there. I forgot, honestly. But once again in high school, like my first 2 years, I only had like maybe one or two friends the first 2 years that I actually knew. And sometimes at lunch, if like both of them were absent or something, like I wouldn't know who to sit with. So like sometimes I sit by myself or I sit with the group I barely knew, and there I go, being the odd one out, being the black sheep of the group, being the one who like no one really knows much about, And I eventually got sick of that feeling of like being left out or like feeling alone. And then one day I started thinking more outside the box. I was like, well, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like it? Like, why do I feel like being alone is bad? Why can't I be alone, What does it matter being the lone kid? Like, what does it matter being that kid that's the odd one out, Like, why do I have this need to, like, fit in or to not be alone? Like, it's okay to be alone. And once I had that realization, everything just fucking clicked. And that was the moment in my life where everything had changed. And I was like, you know what? It's okay to be alone. It is okay to be alone. It is okay to do things by yourself. It is okay to be the odd one out. It is okay to be the different one. It's okay to be the one that doesn't really fit in. That's just there. Like, it is okay. What's so wrong with that? And then after that, that feeling of being like the odd one out, or the one who's like the third wheel, the odd one out, the one who sticks out, like that feeling started lessening and lessening over time, because I was like, well, I keep being put in these positions where I keep having this feeling of like being alone, or like having this need to like have someone there with me, And I kept thinking like, wow, the universe, God or whatever, they wanted me. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, whoever's out there, they just wanted me to be alone. Like, they just wanted me to like be a loner or something. And I was like, you know what? Okay. Sure, Like I said, like, it's okay to be alone. So after that, like slowly over time, I didn't care if I was the one left out. I didn't care if I was the black sheep in a group or the last one chosen or anything like that. I just didn't care anymore. And funny, after I came to that revelation too, that's when I stopped being put in those situations of like feeling alone or whatnot. I started being okay with being, quote, alone. And I feel like that shaped me more into the person I am today. Also, I don't know if like when I came to that realization, I started sending out higher vibrations or something, because I towards the end of high school I actually made really good friends. Like they understood me. I didn't feel alone around them. I felt at one with the group. They got me, I got them. We would be cackling, laughing at jokes or whatever. So it was like, I feel like that was like a lesson for me to like learn and get over. And then once I got over it, I actually started like being okay with slightly being okay with who I was, or like to be alone with myself. And then I started attracting people who, was like my tight, close friend group. And senior year, Marissa and Bree were part of like my friend group, Thinking about it now, looking back, maybe it was, and I know it might sound like spiritual or whatever, just so you guys know, I am a very spiritual person. Maybe low-key a baby witch, I don't know. But I felt as though that lesson was for me to learn to know that I was maybe meant to stick out. I was meant to not fit in fully with like, the norm or like majority of people. Like I was meant to be different, And I was like thinking about it, and I was like, well, I don't know, because I was like thinking about like my friend groups and whatnot, and most of them like, even though we all got along, like we all were different in our own way, But I guess like I felt as though I was different in the way of I didn't really care about like normal teenage things at the time, like like having that high school sweetheart or prom or homecoming. Even though I went, I didn't really care about all that. I wasn't the typical high schooler, like, oh, finding that one guy to like be in a relationship with in high school. Like going to prom and homecoming, becoming like a cheerleader or anything like that. I was just myself, and sometimes I would be the ones like in the background kind of observing things or just not speaking, just because I didn't feel like I just didn't want to speak, And like also like I don't know, I'm just my God, in high school the things people will talk about in high school are fucking stupid, so of course I didn't fucking relate to any of that. So, I just wouldn't talk to some people in certain classes or whatever. But I don't know, I just felt as though like maybe I just wasn't meant to be normal, quote unquote, because I feel as though there's no such thing. But I guess like what society deems normal, or like the normal typical things people go through. And like in terms of like relationships too, I didn't have like any real ones in high school. I had long distance relationships in high school, but I don't personally really count them because they're just fucking stupid, honestly. And obviously, like, I guess my first real not even real, but my first relationship was like in middle school, and that was just stupid puppy love, and I don't really count that either. But I didn't have that typical high school life that like people talk about or people want to go back to or anything like that. Because honestly, I feel like I'm living my best lives right now. I don't know. Sometimes you just like to think back on things that happened to you when you're younger, and maybe you're trying to figure out like why did those things happen, or why did things make you feel a certain way or anything like that. You know, I'm trying to become more self-aware, and so I've been questioning myself and whatnot, and I'm just like, I just feel like maybe this is just a meant to be thing of like me just being like different from the norm. Like I don't care about relationships. I don't like kids. I don't want kids. Which, you know, of course, like I love the kids in my family, you know, like that's fine and all. Or if like my friend were to have a kid, like of course I care about them. But like having my own kids, let's normalize women not wanting kids. Like this world's already overpopulated as is. So, you know, if I ever feel like the need to have kids, I'd adopt, but I don't feel like having kids. I don't like kids. I don't know how to talk to kids. I just don't, I don't know, you know? Like, I don't know. Kids are just a whole nother thing. And I don't care to get married. I honestly don't. I don't want that typical normal, like, life of, like, finding your one, getting married, settling down, having kids, buying a house. Like, that shit sounds fucking boring to me. Like, kudos to you if, like, that's what you want and it brought you a lot of, like, happiness and fulfillment. Good for you. If that's what you truly want, if it makes you happy, then so be it. But I hate when people keep telling me, like, oh, just wait until you get older. Oh, that might change, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's not what I want from my life. That's not what I want. Thinking about that stuff does not make me happy. So, like, let me live the life I fucking want to, damn it. Like, because, some of my coworkers I work with right now are honestly really cool, and some of us get along because they feel the same way when it comes to, like, not wanting kids and, you know, or, like, not even liking kids. Like, if you tell someone, like, you don't like kids, I feel like you're looked at like you're the fucking devil or something. And people are like, what? You don't like kids? It's like, okay, let me, I was gonna say, like, what is there to like about kids? But, you know, I guess there are things to like about kids, but it's just not for me. It's not my cup of tea, okay? Quit forcing this societal norm on me to have a kid. I don't want kids. Leave me alone. And even, like, my family had, like, told me, like, my mom, when I was, like, I don't know, in my early teens, I was like, I don't want kids. I don't like kids. And she's like, oh, just wait until you're older. You know, people always tell you, oh, just wait until you're older. And I'm older. I still don't want kids. It has not changed. Granted, I'm only 22. I'll be 23 soon, which is still pretty young, you know? But, still don't want kids. And a lot of people my age or even younger are already having kids. So, how much older do I have to be to actually want kids? Because kids are having kids these days. Which, like I said, you know, if you get offended, that's on you. I'm not saying this to mean offense. I'm just saying this as, like, just leave me alone. Do not judge me for what I want from life and it doesn't fit your societal norm. And that's another thing, too, is, like, like I said before, I'm also different in the way of, like, from societal norms, of, like, not really caring to get married or even having a relationship, honestly. Like, I know a lot of people equate happiness with, like, marriage or, like, having kids and all that, and I don't. Honestly, I just want to be successful in life with, like, my career and be financially well off. That's honestly all I want from life. So my whole philosophy on love, like I said previously, is if it's meant for me, it will happen, you know? And if not, that's okay. Because, like, you know, like, going back to what I said before about me becoming more self-aware and whatnot, I was trying to think, I'm like, where did I get this from, you know? And I realized I also got this from when I was a kid as well. Because going with the whole, like, feeling alone or, like, being left out and whatnot, with relationships, that wasn't really instilled in me as a kid either. Growing up, maybe I saw my mom in a relationship, like, once, and that was still when I was really young, so I don't even really remember it. But, like, it was never instilled in me to, like, finding a person, settling down, having kids. Like, that wasn't really instilled in me, so I didn't really care about it. I didn't care to think about it. You know, people are like, oh, like, haven't you, like, what's your dream wedding? Most girls always fantasize about this when they're a kid. And, like, I did not. Ever. Marriage never crossed my mind. Having a relation never crossed my mind. Finding the one never crossed my mind. And it's because I didn't see it when I was a kid. Like, yeah, I'd watch Disney movies or some shit. But, like, romance, like, it disgusted me as a kid. Whenever I see that shit, I'm like, ew, that shit's fucking corny. Like, ew, who wants that? Um, or I don't know, whenever I watch like a Disney princess movie, and, the happily ever afters and whatnot, I never had a thought to myself like, oh, that's what I want, or oh, that's how relationships are. I just never had that connection. I just saw it like as a movie or as like a fairy tale, and that's it. I didn't equate it to life. I didn't think like, oh, that's why I should strive for it. None of that. I never made that connection ever. So people give me this weird look when like I tell them I don't want kids, I don't care to get married, or even finding like your one, which I don't believe in just one. I feel like you have multiple people. With how many people there are in the world, you have more than just one. I promise you that. But yeah, maybe that goes back to me being okay with just being alone, Also, in your early adolescent years, you might feel insecure or like you're trying to find yourself, trying to discover yourself, And my relationship in middle school, honestly, it did not benefit me any way whatsoever in terms of like feeling confident or secure whatsoever. And then in high school, I wasn't the popular chick. I wasn't the hot chick. None of that. So guys were not interested in me. Then again, I wasn't interested in any of the guys either. So, touche, but c'est la vie. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I just never had that connection, with someone, like from middle to like high school. Like, relationships just, I'm good, I'm good. And then fast forward to like college years. Oh my gosh. My first year, I stayed in my hometown. I stayed having the same friend group from high school. We made good memories, mostly good, some bad, or some like okay, not really, I wouldn't classify as like bad, but some were like alright or whatever. And then I transferred to a different college for the last 3 years of college. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. I pushed myself out of my comfort zone because I moved to a whole new city where I didn't know anyone. And I had signed a lease with 3 other girls I did not know of. They were friends already because they had they met each other in the dorms their first year. But I had transferred and I never stayed in dorms ever. So I signed on to like a off-campus apartment with these 3 girls I didn't know. And in a whole new town by myself, whole new school by myself. And I just like fucking went for it. And honestly, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie though. That was like when I first moved there, the first couple months, that was the loneliest feeling I've ever felt. Because I always like felt alone, but I never felt lonely. But those first few months when I moved to that new city, that feeling of loneliness hit so hard. So hard. Because like I said, the 3 girls I lived with, they knew of each other. They had friends established there already. So they would go out and do whatever. And I'd just stay home to myself because I didn't know anyone. And I was still coming out of my shell a little bit then too. So I was just like, I wasn't as social as I am now. Or capable of being social. Until now, so, oh my god, that feeling was horrible. I was like, oh my god, like, I am alone. You know that Lil Uzi Vert song, oh my gosh, EXO Tour Life, I think? And like, it goes like, all my friends are dead. I played that song on repeat all the damn time because I was like, oh, my friends are dead. Because I had no one, and I felt so alone, and I just played that song over and over. I was like, oh, my friends are dead. But, eventually, I came around. I tried to open up myself more to my roommates. I became friends with them. They were all, like, really fucking cool, really fucking cool ass people. And then Um, two of them I ended up living with the next year again. We signed into a new apartment. Things were a little rocky-ish, but like we powered through, we made it. One of them actually went off and got married and is in California and whatnot, so yeah, but I guess what I was trying to talk about in my college years was my first, I guess, real relationship with my ex 2 years ago. Wow, time flies. Wow. Yeah, 2 years ago. And up until that point, this feeling of me being alone, being a black sheep, it did not really help with my confidence when it came to guys or a relationship. Because when it came to guys, I felt unwanted, if I'm going to be honest. I felt like, because, like, I never had male attention ever. I just wasn't that type of girl, like, I just wasn't the pretty one. So, like, going through that in high school when you're trying to find yourself more and, like, establish your confidence and whatnot, I was confident in everything else except for my self-image at that point, because I was still trying to figure myself out. I went through many phases, as I talked about in the last episode. You go check that out. I went through many phases of like styles and whatnot, and like I said in the last episode, I would listen to this song by Skylar Grey called Invisible, because that's how I felt. I felt like the background character. No one's, like, in terms of like, like guys and whatnot, no one wanted me, no one would look my way, no one saw me. And also, being a black woman, being a black woman of this time is so fucking hard. I know dating for anyone, period, is already hard, and I know I don't speak for all black women out there, but I know there are a good majority of us who feel like we're just assed out when it comes to when it comes to like other girls, because for me, my experience was nobody wanted the black girl. They wanted the white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. And I still feel that way to this day. That's something I'm still working on, which I've mostly worked through because I just learned not to give a fuck and just to, stick to myself more, and just like I said, if it's meant for me, it'll come my way. I don't really care I just don't care enough, I'm not gonna go out and look for love because I don't really care for it right now. So I don't really care. I don't give a fuck about it right now. But back then, I gave too much of a fuck about it, to the point where it kind of fucked me up a little bit. So I was like, why am I not good enough? I felt this feeling of just not being good enough for anyone. I was too black. I was not pretty enough. I was too weird, too different. I was, I didn't have the biggest boobs. I didn't have the biggest butt, I'm too slim, And that followed me for a while. Even one of my long distance relationships, which, at the time I should have, at the time I didn't have high enough standard for myself. And one of the guys I was in a long distance relationship with, he even told me straight up to my face, which, well, I'll just tell you first before I go into that. But he basically just said, I was I was basically the only black woman he'd ever date. I was the darkest skin tone he'd ever date. And at the time, it felt okay, I guess. But later on, I was like, the fuck? Fuck you, dude. At the time, I was still so insecure, so I just clung on to anything. And, I just realized the toxicity of that. And I was like, and that honestly, affected me more than I thought it did. And I was like, what the fuck? Why does it matter what color I am, oh my fucking fuck, man. It's so hard. Especially if you're a black woman who likes to date outside your race. Or even, nowadays, even in your race is hard. Because I've heard a lot of, black men like to, harp on black women if they're too dark. Which I've seen a lot on Twitter, And it's just what the, we just have it so fucking rough. Not to say other people don't, but, we have it so fucking hard, man. And, like my taste, I do like to date outside my race, I dated, like one white, a lot of Mexican boys, Like right now, like I still like my Mexicans, I still like my whites, I like my Asian persuasion. But anywho, but like another reason why I don't care for relationships, especially right now or even in the future, is just because like I've realized I have gained so much self-confidence for myself, but as soon as it comes to like liking a guy or thinking if a guy likes me, that confidence tanks. I don't understand why. Cause like by myself, like, I dress however the fuck I want. I think I look fucking good. And I flaunt it. And like I feel good. I feel good. I look good. I'm like, this is fucking me, bitch. I'm coming into my own power right now. And, and it's so empowering. If you ever get to that point, you just feel like the baddest bitch on the planet. You're just like, this is fucking me. Take it or leave it. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do me. But all that is gone when it comes to finding a guy or wondering if a guy likes me, because I automatically think like, oh, I'm too black for him. They're not gonna go for me. They want the opposite of me. They want the blonde hair, the blue eye, the white skin, the straight hair. Not to harp, if you're listening and like that suits you or that fits your description, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because like you guys are like pretty. I've seen some pretty white girls. I'm just like, damn, you pretty. So kudos to you. I don't mean it as a bad thing. It's just try to look at it in my shoes, in my perspective. It's just like you're looked at as the one no one wants, or I'm the literal black sheep, literally. So it really hurts. And so when it came to my relationship in college, I didn't have that feeling, I wasn't thinking to myself like, oh, does he like me? Am I too black for him or something like that? Because it was blatantly obvious he liked me, And then and I remember one time we were talking about it, and he told me, he's like, usually he doesn't go for girls like me, which is black. So thinking about it now, I was trying to like think if that like hurts me or not. Because in one aspect, I think of like, damn, like, like I'm not his usual type, but I was just that fucking bad that he just wanted a taste, Like, he just couldn't resist. But then the other part of me thinks like, well, he was my type, kinda. But like, I guess like, I don't know how, I just like what I like, If you're cool and whatnot and you're someone good looking, I'll like you, Like, it doesn't hurt if you're good looking, but personality makes the most of it. Because you could meet someone who's like mediocre looking, but their personality is a fucking 10. They're a 10 all around in your eyes. So that's how it really was for me. Like, if I really liked you as a person, you became so much cuter to me in my head. So it didn't really matter what you really looked like or like, But you saw on one side, I was thinking like, oh, another guy that, doesn't go for my type, which is black girls. So I was trying to navigate and figure out like that shouldn't be a bad thing, Like I said, like my personality and like me myself was so fucking good. He just, like I said, can resist. But then the other part of me is just thinking like, another part thinks of me, and it might sound weird, but I feel like I'm good enough for myself, but I'm never good enough for anyone else. That's honestly how I feel. Like, for myself, I love myself. Whoa, that felt powerful just to say. Like, I love myself, And it took trials and tribulations for me to get here. Not to say that I hated myself, but, I was in a dark point in my life where I'm just like, why am I not good enough? Like, why? Why am I never good enough? Why am I not pretty enough? Why am I not this enough, And it was, like, really bad. I was in a really bad mental state now I think about it. I kind of underplay it, but, like, now that I really think about it and go through it, I was really in a bad spot mentally when it comes to shit like that. But nowadays, like, I have so much self-love and, like, self-confidence for myself. Like, I feel like I'm good enough for myself. But, like, no one else. And I know that's not necessarily true, but that's just how I feel, you know? It's weird. It's like I said, like, I have so much confidence, but then when it comes to, like, dating or, like, me liking a guy, I automatically think he's not going to go for me. He doesn't want me. I'm not his type. I'm never anyone's type. Never. I'm never anyone's type unless they fetishize me, which I'm not fucking putting up with that. But I'm not anyone's usual type ever. Which, it doesn't sound bad, you know, it doesn't. Like, it's okay, you know, I know people have preferences. But fuck, I'm tired of hearing that shit. I'm tired of hearing that, like, oh, you're not my type, or like, oh, I don't date black women, or blah, 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 blah. I'm sick of fucking hearing that shit. I'm sick of it. It's fucking tiring. After a while, you get fucking tired of it, and you're just like, after a while, you just don't give a fuck anymore. You're just like, this is a whole other reason why I feel like I also just don't want a relationship, is because, like, my self-confidence tanks, and it shouldn't. And so I just choose myself instead. I'm just like, I'm good, like, you know? And I'm not saying I hate relationships because, you know, it makes me feel this way, or like, it's because I feel like I'm not good enough for myself. Like, I genuinely, like, a part of me, most of me, 90% of me, doesn't really care for a relationship at all, really. I don't really care about love. Like I said, it was never instilled in me, so, like, I already don't really care, you know? But you have those moments in life where you're just like, you know what, let's test this out. And when you do, it fucking hurts. And so you're just like, fuck it altogether then. So I feel like a part of my confidence right now is, like, a lot of self-love, but also just me not giving a fuck anymore. But yeah, I don't know. And some of my friends or some listeners who are listening to this may never relate to me on stuff like that, because maybe you are the popular chick, the popular dude, the hot one, the one everyone wants, the one who could bag anyone they want. I'm not that. I've never been that. I'm not going to pretend to be that. I don't care enough to be that, you know? Like, because at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. So that's why also I'm just like, you know what? Like, fuck not being enough for someone else. I choose myself. At the end of the day, all you have is yourself. You gotta love yourself. Yourself is enough. So maybe that's also another reason why I don't really care for a relationship, because I got myself. I'm good. You know? I don't care for cuddles. I really don't care about sex at all. I'm not really a super sexual person at all, so yeah, I don't know. You could blame my birth chart for that. So basically, all I'm saying is I'm just built different. But really though, like, I don't want to be that, like, freaky person who blames everything on their zodiac sign, or blames people for whatever zodiac sign they have, because I don't, like, while I'm very into astrology and zodiac signs, I'm not that type of person who's like, oh, you're a Gemini, we won't get along. Like, I don't give a fuck. If you're cool, we vibing, you know? Like, it is what it is. I don't really care what your sign is, you know? But I do think, like, your chart explains some of your personality. And for me, my chart explains me almost the fucking T. It's scary. Because not only am I a Capricorn sun, which Capricorns are already known to be cold-hearted. Ice Queen who? But also when it comes to love and relationships, my Venus is in Aquarius. And Aquariuses, in terms of love, are very emotionally detached. You know, they might be like, they're just more emotionally detached, you know, than other signs. So it makes so much fucking sense. Because when I was in a relationship, I always would think, like, after a while, I'm like literally, I thought I had a 3-month curse in terms of relationships, because most of my relationships, even if, I don't know if they count or not, they're all long distance or whatever, but if you do count them, most of them were like 3 months or under. Because after 3 months, I already saw so many red flags, and I also thought to myself, like, this is fucking stupid. Like, after a while, I'm just like, why am I doing this? This is fucking stupid. Relationships are fucking stupid. Like, I don't need this right now. So basically, I'm built different. I cracked myself up. But anyways, yeah, like, I don't know. It wasn't until my college relationship where we lasted for a year. And then I cut that shit off because I was not feeling it no more. But honestly, what it taught me, because not only was I having insecurity issues, and confidence issues, but also in terms of relationship, I thought I was broken. Because in relationships, like in like the small ones I had, I felt like broken. I was like, what's wrong with me? Because, like I said, after 3 months or like whatever, I just didn't want to be in a relationship anymore. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. I don't need this. Or I'd see like red flags of like, oh, they do this. I don't like it. Like, I'm just super cutthroat. I'm super fucking cutthroat. So I always would think, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I so cutthroat? Why don't I care enough? Period. Like, why don't I care enough? Why don't I emotionally attach to people like others do, Because what I've realized is, in terms of like, even my own friend groups, sometimes I'd feel left out or feel alone because I think some of my friends might assume that I prefer to be alone all the time, which isn't true. So they wouldn't even invite me or ask me to go anywhere with them sometimes, even though they claim to be like, we claim to be friends or like best friends or something. I still feel so left out because they wouldn't ask me to like join them or anything. Or like I never had that like one best friend where like you tell each other's secrets, they know everything about you. You guys spend all the time in the world together. I never had that ever. So even in my own friend groups, I always felt so like alone or like left out. So it always like followed me. But then eventually I stopped caring though, and that feeling goes away. Because I am a low maintenance person. Like I don't, in terms of like relationship and friendship, like, talking every day is fine, but like I don't need to like talk. Don't call me like all the time. At least give me a heads up if you're gonna call me, because I don't know, calling is weird nowadays. But like also, like I don't know, it's like kind of hard to explain. It's just like, I just don't need a lot of attention, I don't need to hang out with you all the time. Like, I just don't need all that to feel like our friendship is good and stable, I don't need to talk to you 24/7. I don't need to hang out with you 24/7. Every now and then it is great and it's fun. But every damn day? Fuck no. So, like, even though I felt, like, left out and alone, I'm just like, oh, well, I still have me at the end of the day. And, like, I know I'll be fine by myself. Because yeah, like I said, even in my friend groups, like I'd see something like hang out together, or they go do something really quick, or like sometimes they'll spontaneously ask someone else if they wanted to hang out, but they never did that with me. Like, not ever, but like rarely they do that. So I still feel left out. Like I don't know, like I said, I don't know if they just assumed that since I am a slightly introverted person and like I do like being alone, that like I would say no all the time, but that's not true. It's like, but they don't even bother to even ask sometimes. So, I don't know. It's like complicated, because before I moved back home, from college, I did feel like alone by myself. A hint of loneliness, just a hint of it. Cause like I don't know, I'm always the one left out. I'm always. Whether that's intentional or not, I don't know. I honestly don't think so. That's another thing too. I'm like, Karman, like, why are you being so down on this? Like, I know it's not, they're like intentionally leaving me out, It's just sometimes they like do a lot of spontaneous things with like other people all the time. I was like, they never fucking ask me, or like they hardly ever ask me. It's just like, what the fuck, man? But also, I don't know, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm just like, I overthink it maybe too much. Like, it's not, like, they don't mean to. And also, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm cool with just me being me and me being by myself. Which, honestly, being by myself is great. I've learned a lot about myself, and I even learned more about relationships being single than actually being in a relationship. It's weird. Just because I see like other people going through it, or then I learn through other people, or people would tell me their stories or something, or like what they found out about like compromising and all that shit, and I'm just like, wow, okay, like that's how maybe a relationship should be or whatever. But I just never got to that point. But it wasn't until like after my real relationship in college that lasted a year where I realized like I actually lasted a year. Like that was a track record for me. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm not broken. Bitch, you just have fucking standards. You just have high ass standards and you're fucking cutthroat. That's what I realized about myself. Because if there's one thing, which I mean, I feel like it's more detrimental to myself sometimes because I feel like I am way too cutthroat. But you know, what it is. But that's also is a power of mine, is being okay being by myself. Because I realized, like, some of my friends or, like, people I, like, know of or see out in the world or society in general, people they cannot be alone for one fucking second. It's like, what's so wrong with that? Like, I know so many people who have to be in a relationship. Like, they just have to. It's just like, why? The world doesn't end. So I think to myself, is it because you hate yourself so much you can't be alone? Like, you don't want to be alone with yourself because you hate yourself that much? Like, what is it? I don't understand it. There is a power to being alone. Or being able to be alone. You know, it's okay if you don't like being alone, like you have to have someone there, that's fine. But if you can actually be alone by yourself for a short period of time and be okay with it, you'll be fine. You know? It's just, I feel like people are way too dependent on others, or they expect too much out of others, and just like you shouldn't expect so much out of people. And that's another thing I've had to learn too, is maybe I expected too much of people, or I expected them to understand me more, or like, I don't know. So I'm trying to be more understanding of like people and like my different friendships that I have, and I'm trying to look at things in like their perspective, you know, and try to get like a real understanding of like different perspectives and people who are like that, or like who are different from me, or things I can't really understand. I try to look at it in their perspective, you know. I'm trying to like understand that more. Will I truly ever understand it? No. But like, I don't know. I feel like me being able to be by myself is a power in its own, but also it's kind of a detriment in a way, because me personally, I'm way too okay with being by myself. Like I'm way too okay being alone for the rest of my life. I'm way too okay not giving a fuck. I'm way too okay, like, I don't know, I'm just way too okay being cutthroat. Like, I don't know, man. I do not know. But, I don't know, I'm still learning, you know, I'm still learning about other people, I'm still learning about people's perspectives, I'm still learning about myself and why I act a certain way, why I am so cutthroat, why am I too okay being alone, you know? It's like, I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm trying to become more self-aware. I've had my spiritual journey. I started my spiritual journey last year, actually. And it happened because of a guy. Ew, I know. But during that time, I actually came upon tarot card readings on YouTube. And like pick a card general readings. And the thing about general readings is you're not supposed to take all of it if it doesn't resonate, or try to like make it so it does resonate. So something like some like love readings I would do on YouTube or whatever, I would take all that information as if it was meant for me, and it wasn't. So I got extremely disappointed. Whoa, I'm coming through my breakthrough. I'm just realizing, because there was like a situationship kind of last year with the guy, and it didn't work out, and I got so upset, and I was trying to figure out why I got so upset. I just came to that realization now. It's because of these tarot card pick a card readings, and they even say too, it's a general reading, not everything is meant for you, but I make everything meant for me. And then when things didn't work out, I got so fucking pissed. I was like, what the fuck, man? But then, so that kind of turned me off of tarot reading and like spiritual stuff. But then I eventually got back into it to the point where I actually now have my own tarot cards. I just got my first oracle deck yesterday. I'm getting into crystals. I'm getting into witchy stuff. I'm reading a witchy book right now. I'm learning about the universe, the law of attraction, manifestation. So during this quarantine pandemic time, I've learned a lot about myself and my own journey, and how to let toxic people go, how to let things go, period. How to forgive and let go, how to manifest laws of attraction, like just all of that stuff, you know? And I do believe it's all real. Or if it's not real, I feel as though you putting out those intentions will make things happen for you, you know? Like, I do believe in the law of attraction. Whatever you put out, you will give back, you know? So it doesn't matter if all this witchy stuff isn't real, or, you know, whatever, or tarot cards aren't like an actual thing. If it, at the end of the day, if it helps you feel better about yourself, or helps you learn more about yourself, self-discovery, self-exploration, and it helps better understand yourself and better yourself as a human being and as a good person, it doesn't matter. You know, it does not matter. There's no harm in it. If it helps you out at the end of the day and it makes you a bigger, stronger, better person, fuck it, you know? And I guess the last thing I want to talk about before I end this, too, about my spiritual journey, is I was kind of like scared of like what people would think, you know? Because if I say I'm like a witch, people automatically think satanic. I'm a devil worshiper. I sacrifice goats and shit. And I don't. There's like, people are ignorant when it comes to shit like that. They're scared of what they don't know, and they're too ignorant to look it up. So there's all kinds of different witches and different practices. And for me, I just say I'm just a witch. I don't belong to a certain group of witches. It's more like freeform, you know? Like, whatever I believe, I believe. Like, you know, I do believe there is like a God or the universe or a higher power. Like, there's something there, you know? And that's like what I believe in. I was scared that, you know, some of my slightly more religious friends or family would say something about it, or, you know. But the other day I just said fuck it, and I took a picture of my basic witches book, and I posted it on my Snapchat, on my public Snapchat story, and I said fuck it, this is who I am, this is the shit I like, take it or leave it. And of course I might have overthought things, because no one unfriended me, or at least no one I really pay attention to, or at least none of the people I actually talk to unfriended me, you know. Everyone knows the type of shit I'm into, you know. They don't see it as evil. They know I'm a good person, so they didn't give a fuck. So I was like, I'm overthinking things as usual. But I guess one thing I wanted to leave off for whoever is listening is that, one, it's okay to be by yourself. If you are alone sometimes, it's okay. And also to take that time to actually like know yourself. I know it's cliche when it comes to relationships when people say you should love yourself before you love someone else, but honestly that is so fucking true. Who knows, me being alone right now and being so okay with me being alone, the universe might send me someone my way, because I've been doing so much work on myself and I love myself, which, oh god, I put that out there. I don't want that to happen because I'm not ready for that right now. But basically, like, take that time to be more self-aware. Figure out why you do certain things, why you react to certain things, why you say certain things, you know. Journal things. Write down thoughts you have. You know, just take that time for yourself, really. Like, all of this that I babbled on about for an hour now, I came to all this realization during this quarantine pandemic time after I moved back home to my hometown. And I just sat in my room and I started my spiritual journey more. And my spiritual journey has taught me to become more self-aware and to better myself. And so I have been more self-aware. I haven't asked myself the necessary questions. I've been trying to work on my shadow self, my dark side or whatever. And I honestly feel like a different person than I was a year ago, than I was a month ago, you know? And I just encourage everyone to take that time, sit down in front of the mirror like I am right now, and just talk to yourself. You'll be surprised what comes out of your mouth sometimes. You might come to realizations and revelations or something, you know? It's so powerful. So, thank you for tuning in to this segment. Like I said, in the future, we might have solo episodes, and maybe me again. If you guys want to hear me talk about a certain topic again, definitely you could ask me questions. Or if I have a friend who's interested in doing a solo episode, they could definitely do that. But yeah, thank you for enjoying this segment of Kall Withdrawal. You know, NextKaller, and then you gotta withdraw within, you know, all that shit. It took me a second to think of that name, honestly. But yeah, thank you for tuning into the segment of Kall Withdrawal with me, your host, Karman. I actually just realized I never even introduced myself in the very beginning, but it is what it is. But thank you for listening to me. And let me know in the comments if you'd like to have the segment again with me or with someone else, what topic you would like me to talk about, or if you related, if you can't relate, if you want to give me your advice or tell me some of the lessons you've learned about your self-behavior or your own life, let me know. I'm curious, This shit's very interesting to me. But anyways, this has been NextKaller podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.